Hey guys, this is R527 here. Right now it is about a minute from 11 o'clock p.m. Pacific on October 20th. So this is literally a few hours before the Ash versus Leon fight is about to begin. And for those that don't know, the battle itself is confirmed to be a four-parter. So basically for the next 4 weeks, we will be getting a very epic, I would hope, epic battle that is looked to pretty much end journeys. Other than a few things that I think they should end off of here and there, uh, it's gonna be interesting to say the least. And as you could tell, that will be the main discussion point, or one of the main, discussion points for today's episode, which will be discussing the Pokemon anime, and also, as you see on the screen right now, we'll be talking about the Crash Bandicoot Wumpa League project and the fact that it might actually be finally coming. Might actually be finally coming. And I sincerely cannot wait for that to happen. So, let's get it going. Sorry about that. I have to go ahead and turn off my fan because it's already 64 degrees, and I want to make sure this podcast is all good to go. Or, yeah, would be a podcast, I would think. Anyways, so we're going to talk about first the Pokemon stuff, because I feel like it's best to get that out of the way, because I feel like I would have a lot more to say regarding the Wumpa League stuff, but I will do my best with the Ash versus Leon stuff, and I guess journeys overall. Well, maybe not overall, but probably just my thoughts on the end stretch and what they could do and what will happen and stuff like that. So let's get right into it. Okay, so like I said, the next 4 weeks for Pokemon Journeys is going to be a four-parter battle between Ash and Leon for the finals of the Masters 8 tournament, which has started in the summer, and it's basically coming to a conclusion now. And for those of you that haven't really kept up with the anime and probably are wondering why did it take this long, it was because we had like a few recap episodes here and there, and with the whole issues of production, the animators and stuff like that, it was understandable to say the least. Even though I will admit I was like one of the few people, or not one of the few people, but I was actually somebody that wasn't really looking forward to it. It turns into recaps, but the more I kind of understood the situation regarding the writers and just the stuff going around there for that, it made sense. It made sense. So with that being said, what I wanted to talk about in regards to journeys is just my thoughts on the overall battle. Well, not much to really say on that front because the battle hasn't even fucking started yet. But by the time you see this, guys, by the time you see this video, part one of the battle will have already been done, and I just want to again clarify: this episode was recorded before part one. Right now it's 11:03 p.m. Pacific, so I am not speaking about the episode because I literally do not know what's gonna happen. So, just putting that out there. So what I wanted to talk about as far as Ash versus Leon is that, and I talked about this on the Pokepod if you watched this week's episode, is that Ash versus Leon, the trailer that came out for it, which is what some of these screenshots are from, it kind of has like this feeling that it's about to close a chapter of a very long story, because just the way it kind of was choreographed made it seem like a character's arc is coming to an end. Now, it may be kind of cheesy to kind of say that, and maybe I'm talking about Leon when I say that, but the thing is that I am not talking about Leon. I am talking about Ash. Because if you watch the trailer, if you look at the way everything's just kind of choreographed and the way that everything just kind of looked, especially within the last few seconds or minutes of the trailer, it kind of gives that vibe off. Like, it'll pop up in the slideshow, but basically Ash pretty much just says everything that we've learned throughout our journey will be put into use here, basically. That doesn't sound like a quote he says that often. I mean, technically, I guess he kind of did within the journey of, you know, of the region. Then, yeah, I guess he would have already had said that. But the way that it was kind of said, and the way that, we all know journeys turn out to be in terms of going to every other region that he's already been to so far, it's just kind of like the fact that his team is kind of like a culmination of like the tactics and the way that he's been as a trainer throughout the years, kind of just put together into the team. It kind of gives the feeling that, it's coming to an end to some degree. Like it says right here, all our adventures come together in this battle. Like he's not referring just to journeys. He's talking about all of the adventures. So, but when I also said in the Pokepod, and and it's crucial to understand, I'm very, very cautious of the fact that they're actually going to pull the plug on Ash, because have been through so many times, not just with Pokemon. We have been through so many times in anime or shows in general, or movies, where they make it seem like a character is going to leave permanently, and what ends up happening is that either sometimes the character does actually end up leaving, or sometimes what will happen is that the character leaves still, but then they come back sometime later after. Like let's say they're gone for like a month or two worth of episodes, and then they come back like everything's normal. Or sometimes it gets to that episode where they're supposed to leave, and they leave for a few minutes, and then they come back right afterwards, and they're just like, JK. So I don't know what they're gonna do here. I sincerely don't know. Do I think it's time to take out Ash from the anime? Here are two answers. If he wins the whole thing and beats Leon, I think you would have to consider that. I think it would be more appropriate to fit him into the Naruto role, in the sense that he could still be around, but he wouldn't necessarily be the main overall character. Like he wouldn't be in every episode, but he would still be on maybe once every in a while, that type of deal. But if for whatever reason they have him on still after the fact, it's either because they just are just so used to having Ash as like the permanent main character that they might as well just stick with it until the series actually ends, or B, they're going to actually have him do something that would somewhat justify him being on the show. Because if he ends up beating Leon, I don't know what else this man could do. He's already won the league in Alola. He's already beaten high-profile trainers in this series on the way to fight Leon. I mean, he took down Steven. He took down Symphia, which was one of the strongest trainers of the entire world. And now he's about to fight the strongest trainer in the world. Like, it's just, I don't know what else you can have him do. Like, I mean, he could be the main professor, sure, but it's just, I don't know. I really don't know. I would definitely like to think that they have something in mind for him, but like, I'm not sure what else they could do. Like, if they go back to the format of traveling across one region, having to do gym battles, Pokemon League at the end, all that stuff, it feels like a very unnecessary reversion. Like, first of all, it wouldn't make any sense, because he's already accomplished a lot, to the point where going back to the one thing that he would always do within like the first 6 regions feels like a step backwards. I feel like that sort of thing would be more appropriate if they intend on having a new character. Like if someone else came in and basically just became the new Ash, then fine, do that. But if it's just gonna be Ash by himself, or not by himself, but if it's Ash doing the same shit again, then you have to question what they're doing. Now, before anyone says like, oh, they have to have Ash there and stuff like that, to keep up with the series and stuff like that, it's like, guys, there's been other animes and shows where a certain popular character from the show has left, but the show still continues. Now, whether or not the show itself will remain popular and good, that in itself is always up for debate because you have to look at the show and you have to look at the circumstances. But I honestly think that you can still retain a very good popularity of Pokemon, at least anime wise, even if Ash leaves, because it all depends on how, first of all, they set up the character. It all depends on what they have in mind for this character's goal. Like, are they gonna have it just be like an Ash 2.0, but just have like someone else do what he did before, where he would just go across the region, battle the gym leaders, go to the Pokemon League event, maybe hope to win a league, something like that? Or will Ash take on the role of Brock in the sense that he would be this mentor that would come along, but he wouldn't necessarily participate in the fights. He would be like, he would essentially be like the more battle-rich, experienced version of Brock. I mean, I'm not opposed to the idea because it's not like he would be the main central character. I mean, he would be there every other episode, but he would be there. But I don't know. I don't know if that's what they're going to do. The one thing I do know, well, not know from sources, of course, but the one thing I am kind of like curious on is, are they going to keep him as like the main character in the movies? And I think that is definitely possible because it's not like the movies are, canonically that connected anyways. At least a lot of the movies aren't. I mean, the only time that you can really say that maybe the movies were connected in some sort of way was the Mewtwo movies. And by the Mewtwo movies, I mean like movie 1, so movie 1, maybe movie 16 if you count like the prequel special with Genesect that was considered an anime episode, but just as a special that connected to the movie, so I guess you could kind of count that. And then obviously fucking movie 22 just because of the fact that, it was a straight up remake of, the first movie, the original, and we all know how kind of connected the first movie was to the anime. So my overall thoughts as far as Ash staying or leaving is this. If they intend on having Ash stay in the anime, then I hope they develop him a new role, or develop him a new role that's not what he has already done before. Because if you simply have him win the Masters 8 and he goes back to, collecting gym badges in the singular region, goes to the Pokemon League, wins it, and etc., keeps on going, that's a waste of his time because he's already done that. First of all, he's already done it a lot. Number 2, there's no point for him to do that because he's literally the strongest fucking trainer in the world if he ends up beating Leon. So him going to the gym battles, let me put it this way. It's like having a level 100 character and you put that level 100 character in like fucking battle arenas with like fucking level 10 to level 15 opponents. Like, the skill difference would be massively huge. Now, of course, they could pull some bullshit like they did in Best Wishes where, they reset him for the fuck of it and then they have him try again with a new team. But to me, that doesn't really fucking matter because at that point, Ash has already have a lot of experience from battles in other regions, and he's known to bring some of those strategies with him to new region. Like, for example, when he was in Unova, and when he fought in the Don George Battle Club tournament, the very first one, he brought back the little spinning technique strategy, or I guess technique, I guess you could say. That was from Diamond to Pro. So, what's to say that somebody 3 or 4 regions later wouldn't pull out some strategy that they've learned from elsewhere in like a more lesser experienced battle, because they can literally win just off of experience. Doesn't matter if they have like a shitty team. If you know how to, you know, utilize a very garbage team, but you're somebody that, you know, again, has like a lot of experience and knows how to work with a lot of Pokemon, you'll make that fucking shitty ass team real good. But I don't think that'll be a good usage for his character. I think a good usage for his character is somebody that's going to take the role of Brock, where they'll be there for the sake of it if they don't really want him to leave, but they, you know, don't want him to be like the main focal point. Maybe he could just be like the Brock of the series. Brock in the series, or in this case, Salwin or Clement, whatever. Maybe he can take over that role in the sense that he'll be like the mentor. Well, maybe not so. Maybe not much so of Clement. Maybe to some degree Salwin, but more so Brock. He could be considered like the mentor of the potential trio, if there is going to be a trio. Or just a duo, where he'll be like the mentor that provides like really useful battle tips, strategies, and basically will get the main character out of trouble by doing this or that, or advising this or that. So that could be one idea. Or they could just write him out the show and, well, not completely write him out the show, but more of like have him pop in maybe once every while. Where maybe he'll be like the Professor, like, maybe he'll be like the Professor Oak, where he'll appear in some episodes, but not all of them. Where he'll talk to the main character, provide them useful tips about like the region, the Pokemon itself, you know, etc. I mean, if they intend on keeping the Journeys format, but they put a new character with it, he could definitely be useful for that. But all this is hard to predict, and all this is hard to, discuss, because it's like, because we don't know what they're gonna do. I think the more likely thing, if we really have to be honest with each other, is that he will still be in the show, because I don't think that they'll just unplug him like that. Now, again, I could be saying that, and then 4 weeks later they'll say that, hey, he's gonna leave the show. If they do intend on him leaving the show, then this battle has to be choreographed and set up in a way where that is signified all the way through. But I think the reason why it kind of may happen is because I don't think all of his friends and rivals would be watching this battle if it wasn't, that sort of thing being hinted at. Although, to be fair, I think all of them would have watched it anyways, because this is quite literally Ash's biggest battle of his entire history right now. It used to be like, the league finals, aka Cobbles, was like his biggest battle up at that point. Then the finals match in the Loa, the Loa League, not the Kukui one, but the one versus Gladian, that was super important for him at the time. But now that gets eclipsed, both of those battles get eclipsed by Ash versus Leon, because if he ends up winning against Leon, he will literally just be the strongest trainer in the entire world, because that's what Leon's title is. Leon is the strongest trainer in the world. And if Ash wins, he's simply the strongest in the world. So that's why I'm not a believer in the fact that he will just go back to typical region adventures, gym battles, to get gym badges, and then go to the league, and then maybe win in that league. That doesn't make sense for Ash's character. If he ends up winning against Leon, it does not make sense for his character, because he's already done that plenty of times, and he literally just won a title. And I know I repeated myself because I've said it before, but I have to say it again. There's just no point, because he would have already won the strongest trainer title in the world. So him going back to the same thing that he used to do before, where the competition and the skill set and the skill difference would be massive, he will get nothing out of it. He'll get nothing out of it. So here are my overall thoughts. Before I actually, I guess I could talk about the battle to some degree. Although, again, it's kind of hard to do that because we don't have that much information to go off of by. But here's what I'll say. Like I said, if they intend on having this be Ash's final hoorah, then I personally think they have to make sure this battle is, first of all, way better. Well, not that way better, but it has to be more significant enough. It looks good enough compared to Ash versus Kukui. I mean, I know I mentioned Ash versus Gladian for like the League battle fight, but I think I prefer Ash versus Koi as a battle compared to Ash versus Gladian, not just of the visuals, but just because of the fact of the circumstances of the battle, the character stories kind of clashing with one another, not in a negative way, but just kind of like the fact that when you're battling against somebody in a Pokemon battle, your characters just kind of clash against one another. So at the end of the day, it's like Ash versus Leon just has to be an absolute banger because I don't. There is no way you will send Ash off on a shitty battle. I think that would be a massive disservice to his character if Ash versus Leon just turned out to be a dog water fight. Now, some people may disagree and be like, "Oh, it doesn't matter if it's a dog water fight or whatever. It's still gonna be a hoorah." It's like yeah, it would be, but it wouldn't be a good one. It's like as if let's say Naruto and Sasuke fight one more time during the OG Naruto series. If then Naruto loses, if then Naruto's just written out as the main character, do you want to say do you really want to do that to Naruto? No, you want to end it off on a good note. You want to send him on a high note. I mean, he married he married Hinata. That was like the highest point for him. That was the highest point for him. So for Ash, they just need to do something similar. Well, maybe not the marrying part, but they need to make sure that his battle with Leon is spectacular, which I hope it will be. And just from the looks of it, it might as well be. In terms of strategy, I think it'll look good because I think Leon. If you're looking at a little episode preview, I think Leon does that strategy where he does like the whatchamacallit. Wasn't it like a whirlpool strategy from Diamond and Pearl where they put the water on the floor or something like that, and they kind of swept it around the battlefield? I think that was a Diamond Pearl strategy. No, it's not. I must be thinking of a different region. But he basically took page out of Ash's book because he did something similar in the Masters 8, which means that Leon is taking notes of how to fight his opponents and know how to use their own strategies against them, which is why Leon has the title that he has now. So I think Ash is going to have to really be more creative outside the box to really fight Leon, because I think if he does end up winning this battle, which I'm kind of leaning towards that side of it, he's going to have to really pull out the creativity and do some outside the box shit that will basically get him to the top, which he has the team to do it. But how will they fare against Leon? Who knows? Who the fuck knows? So we will see about that. But if I had to give a prediction, and this is gonna be, I wouldn't say a controversial one, but I might as well just put it out there. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I think Ash will win because here's why. I think if they intend on having Ash just kind of written out as the main character, but still be around or not around, regardless of what they want to do, if they intend on not having him as the main character, I think you have him win this fight in the most glorious way possible. Have him, celebrate his big hoorah. Goes on this self-reflection, and then he realizes, wow, there's more to do in life. I've reached to the top as the strongest trainer in the world. So what else is there for me to do? I think he'll go into the same route as Professor Oak, where he'll end up studying more Pokemon, which will achieve the goal of him discovering more Pokemon. Because you can have him be a professor and still retain the goal of, seeing brand new Pokemon and stuff like that. Maybe he's like a, in training professor that will go to the Paldea region. That's the one thing I could see him do. But will they do it? We'll see. But yeah, that's my prediction. I think he'll win the fight. And as far as who will be the final bout, some people have their opinions as to whether or not it's gonna be Mega Lucario versus Gigantamax Charizard, or Pikachu versus Charizard. Like regular Pikachu versus Mega Charizard. Something like that. I don't know which one they're gonna go for. Because at first it was going to be, well, if you listen, look at the trends of the openings, of course. maybe at first it was going to be Ash versus or Ash versus Pikachu, fucking Pikachu versus Charizard. It was going to be probably be that, but now I think the latest ending right shows Gigantamax Charizard versus Mega Lucario, right? So I don't know what they're going to do, but I think here's what I think. If they intend on having again Ash, leaving the main character slot, I think you have to end it with Pikachu. Because Pikachu has been with Ash since day one. They've been through a lot together throughout many adventures, throughout many regions, many ups, many downs, many great moments, many bad moments. So what better way to do it than to win the title of the strongest trainer in the world, than to have your number one buddy be the one to get it for you. Like, it's no disrespect to Lucario, because Lucario has really up to shit during the series, but I just think Pikachu deserves it a lot. I just think Pikachu being like, the one to do it would be simply amazing. Now, I wouldn't be mad if Lucario was the one to win it, but I just think Pikachu, story-wise and thematically-wise, would make more sense, and I think will bring good wraparound to Ash's character and his progression as a battler, not just in journeys, but also throughout his many adventures, throughout the many regions he's been to, like Kalos, but I was going to go in fucking order, so might as well just go in order. Kanto, Orange Islands, if you count that, Johto, Hoenn, Sinnoh, Unova, Kalos, Alola, and to some extent Galar. And I say to some extent Galar because, not that many episodes in Galar, but he still had some battles there, here and there. So, we'll just see what happens. I just think it's ideal for Pikachu to be his last Pokemon to fight anyways. But if he is going to be the final Pokemon to do that, then one or two events has to probably happen. Either they have Pikachu do the thing where he ends up beating Leon's last two Pokemon, or what will happen is that Ash is up, 2-1, and he needs to beat one more of Leon's Pokemon, but then he switches out for another Pokemon that will probably get beat by Charizard, and then Pikachu, could be the one that deals the final blow. They kind of did that in the battle versus Alon, but except not really, because Greninja was still in his back pocket. So, but they could kind of still make that same circumstance where he gets the upper hand, and then it kind of just goes from there. So yeah, I think overall, I think it's gonna be a good fight. I think a lot of their pinnacles are going to be into this one. Now, whether or not it'll be better than, Ash versus, Kukui or Gladian or whatever, that has yet to be seen, because we had to see the entire battle first. Because I don't think you can properly judge a battle by just one part and then just say, oh, it's super better than one battle. That's full and done. Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, it, first of all, you're a fucking idiot if you do that. And number two, it just doesn't make sense, because it's a lot better to have a full picture of a battle, understand the circumstances of the battle, understand the strategies, and understand what, how the Pokemon were utilized in the battle. So, I think I'll make another episode after of Richie's thoughts after the first part, or maybe after the second part of Ash versus Leon. But I do have a bit more thought to it. But I want to go ahead and leave it here, because I want to go ahead and talk about the next thing, which I imagine is going to take a little bit of time. Maybe just about around like 30 minutes, like this one is. So, overall, I think Ash vs. Leon's could be... I think Ash vs. Leon, if they play their cards right, which, some people have said, Journeys has been, or some people have said Journeys hasn't. I just hope it's going to be a good battle. Ash versus Leon puts under good stuff in terms of cinematic value, in terms of story building, and the way these characters approach it. And just the fact that, oh, and one more thing, now that I think about it, just the fact that the constant use of flashbacks in the battle, not only just for Ash, but for Leon, normally kind of tells you that while yes, that this battle is already significant enough, it puts a lot more significance because the character is reflecting on their past selves and how they got to this point. And normally you don't really do that unless you're at the biggest moment of your life. So it's going to be a good moment whenever that happens for Ash versus Leon. Maybe the flashback happens right at the beginning of the battle, but the way it kind of feels, maybe it won't be. But if it is, it's not like it would matter. But here's my thing. Either we get those flashbacks day one, later on tonight, or B, they wait until part 4, which is essentially the last part of the fight. So yeah, with that being said, not much left to say about Pokemon. I mean, there is a lot more, but I think I'll probably wait until after the first part or two of the Ash versus Leon fight, and then we'll just go from there. So let's move on to Crash Bandicoot, because oh boy, Crash Bandicoot has went through an interesting path within the last few weeks or month. If you guys saw my reaction video to Canadian Guy Ed's video about getting the pizza box package from Activision, and just the content of that pizza box, and just the messaging on there, it's rather interesting to say the least. So for those that don't know, as I stated, Canadian Guy Ed, one of the prominent Crash YouTubers, received a package from Activision, and basically in the packaging itself, it contained like obviously fake pizzas, but if you open inside those fake pizzas, which are just basically boxes in itself, it basically came with merch. So like basically a shirt, USB cable, I think sometimes a hat. I don't know if the hat was in there. No, the hat was not in there, but it was in there for some other boxes. Basically just merch. But the pizza box confirmed 2 things. Number 1, it confirmed that Crash Words About Time was coming to Steam on October 18th, 2022, which at the time of this recording was 2 days ago. And I'm just about to play it after I get done recording this episode, so I can't wait for that. The other thing, which is what a lot of us are speculating about and just kind of talking about, is just the fact that on the pizza receipt thingamabob, so basically, you know how like they tape the receipts for pizzas on like the top side of the box, around the part where you're about to open it, there's like a little message line, I think right below, where it says, if you want to try a new Wumpa pizza, something like that, it's like 1208 something. Actually, you know what? Let me go ahead and look it up real quick. Let me go ahead and look it up. Okay, so here's what it says. So right at the same receipt paper, which is supposed to be their fake receipt paper that's tagged onto the box. So basically right below the subtitle, there's a message that says, and I quote, "Hungry for more? Try our new Wumpa pizza for $12.08!" Exclamation mark. Now, why such a specific number like that? You're probably wondering. Well, the only thing that comes into your mind, or in my mind, and I guess you could say every other Crash fan's mind when they read that, is that it's obviously referring to December 8th, because it's not referring to anything else. It's such a huge coincidence of a number. It is, literally referring to something. But what's on December 8th, you might ask? Well, December 8th, 2022 is the date for the Game Awards. And that in itself is a direct confirmation that we are probably going to get something for Crash Bandicoot during the Game Awards show. And obviously, a lot of people are speculating and are probably more than likely thinking that this is in relation to Wumpa League, which is a game that has been rumored for a while, but just hasn't come out yet because I assume delays in production and a few things there here and a few things here and there. So, what exactly would Wumpa League be? Who knows? But what we do know is that, because actually, before I even mention it, Wumpa League has kind of, like I said, gone through some stuff here and there because, when it comes to, because originally it was supposed to come along with Crash 4 as like a DLC / add-on, but that never came around about, and we don't know why it got delayed. The only logical thing that we could possibly think of when it comes to a potential reason as to why is probably just because of the shitty circumstances of the Activision studios, just kind of like the whole workers thing going on and how Activision itself has kind of acted in that sort of way. And then on top of that, Call of Duty just needed like a lot more studios worked on because that franchise is going through some shit, and I mean it still is kind of shit, but that's besides the point. So just a lot of resources just being directed into that main cash cow, so there was no time probably or that much to really do Wumpa League. But what do we know about the game? Like, do we know what type it is? Have we seen gameplay? Has there been leaks and all that stuff? There hasn't been like a gameplay footage leak, if that's what you guys might be referring to. But what we do know, and we can thank Jez Corden for this, who has revealed revealed around the late summertime, so basically around August. I kind of consider late August to be summer to some degree. But if some of you guys disagree, that's completely fine. But yeah, Jez Corden revealed on the Xbox 2 podcast that basically the information of this certain Crash game is the following. It's a 3D action platformer, or technically it still could be, but he did put a very important disclaimer that, this project could have changed. Like, the information that I'm about to tell you that he knows, it might have changed. Because he did mention the fact that, he saw gameplay for this, but it was like, at the time of which he mentioned it in the podcast, was 6 months ago. So 6 months ago from August. So stuff could have changed. Or maybe it didn't. Who knows? But anyways, he said that the details of this is that it was, or it will be, a 3D action platformer multiplayer brawler game, which has the code name Project Lava. And again, just a important reminder, this game was supposed to originally have come out with Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time, as like a DLC / add-on, but as we all know, that never happened. He had, now again, he has seen the gameplay for it, and what he did mention was some comparisons as to what you can expect this game to be like. Overwatch was one of them, but the main two that he said in the podcast specifically was that Crash Bandicoot Wumpa League gameplay was described to be a mixture between Plants vs. Zombies Guerrilla Warfare and the one that I'm sure most people wouldn't even know about, other than maybe like a very few, is that game Bleeding Edge. And let me just look at it real quick. And basically, Bleeding Edge is a multiplayer online combat video game. So basically, you team up and execute powerful synergized attacks to become an unstoppable force in the face of your enemies. So, yeah, you just basically beat the shit out of each other. This is all you need to know. In like this objective-based style, which is what this game is all about. He did say though, however, that it isn't really like anything else that's currently out there. So you might be thinking, well, why make the comparison of Overwatch, Plants vs. Zombies, and Bleeding Edge? Well, even if the game itself isn't something that you have seen before, you can still make a comparison between that project with the others if you feel like they're kind of similar enough on good grounds to do so. So it's not like it's that impossible. So, um, also, Jez kind of went into detail, but not really, as to why this specific game itself was probably in development hell for a while. And just as we kind of like mentioned already, he suspected it had something to do with the fact that Toys for Bob, the studio in question that would slash will be making this game, had to help out a lot with Call of Duty for the last few years, which you guys kind of already know my opinion about that, which I kind of stated it before, but it doesn't really surprise me that Call of Duty as a cash cow needs that much studio attention and good detail in order for that kind of franchise to really stay on the float. Which, again, doesn't really surprise me, but unfortunately, you would think they would just get like other studios to do it, but I guess not. It is what it is. He did mention that he's hopeful that with Modern Warfare 2 shipping out in a few months, well, technically soon enough, because again, this thing came out in August. He's hopeful of the fact that Toys for Bob is now back on the development cycle for Wumpa League, and that we could see a reveal of it either at the PlayStation 2002 showcase, which hasn't happened so far, or the Game Awards with a release in 2023. So, with the fact that the pizza box tease, which specifically states $12.08, which is literally a reference to December 8th, which is when the Game Awards is at, I would say that second part of it where he says the Game Awards will be released in 2023, I think it's very likely that route is going to happen. And it has happened before. It happened with Crash Bandicoot Nitro Fueled, because that game was revealed. That game was teased to be at the Game Awards. It didn't specifically say it would be at the Game Awards, but it would say look out for it on this date. Actually, no. Did it? Let me actually fact check myself. Fact checking my own self on a recorded podcast. Ain't that some shit? Okay, so the message in itself was sliding into the Game Awards on 12/6, because the Game Awards is on December 6th of 2018. Now, I think we are definitely going to see Crash Bandicoot at the Game Awards, because the messaging from that specific one compared to the pizza box message, they're both very similar, in the sense that they tell you that, hey, something's going to come on this certain date. Except that I think the Fuzzy Dice was just straight up saying, hey, it's going to be revealed on this day. While the pizza box doesn't really do that, but it also doesn't really deny the fact that, it would be at the Game Awards. And I think Activision knew what they were doing when they came up with that marketing tactic, because they knew that the Game Awards was going to be on the 8th of December. So I think it's definitely going to be revealed at the Game Awards. Just a matter of when during the show? Who knows? Who the fuck knows? So we've talked about the speculation. We've talked about this and that. What do I think the game is going to be like? Well, just the fact that it mentioned the fact of Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare, and Bleeding Edge. And when I look at both of those games, right? They kind of have this objective-based kind of gameplay, where you beat the shit out of each other, but you're kind of doing it for objectives. So sort of like Overwatch in a sense, where you're beating the shit out of each other, but you're also trying to accomplish an objective. Like, for example, in Overwatch, some games you'll have to push like a robot over to one side compared to, way more than to the side of your enemies. Or, sometimes you will have to escort the payload over from one side into the other team's spawn. So something like that is what I think Wumpa League will end up being. But I also think it's going to take some inspiration from Mario Party, in the sense that you'll have a lot of characters to work with. I think there'll be a great variety of mini games. I don't know if they will necessarily add a story mode, but I think if they are going to add a good story mode, then I think that could be a way for people to really unlock a bit more content for online play or just singular play by yourself or whatever. Just so that way it gives people more incentive to kind of just do a lot more of the story mode. So here's my thing. I think the game is going to take inspiration from obviously Overwatch, just because of the fact that they're both in the same studio. Plants vs. Zombies Guerrilla Warfare in the sense of objective-based fighting, and I guess Bleeding Edge, although I don't know too much about Bleeding Edge, and I've never played it, so I can't really comment too much. But if I had to judge based on what I've seen in terms of images, which I'm looking at right now, I would imagine it would kind of just do the same thing. So the game would be like Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare, Bleeding Edge, Overwatch, in terms of objective-based fighting, with a variety of characters, with a variety of weapons that they can use to gain specific advantages. And it will take a page out of Mario Party's book, where the mini games are going to be a bit more in variety. Going to be something that's more central to the whole franchise's theme, because the thing that was very good about, or is good about, the Mario Party games is that it fits with the Mario universe pretty well. So maybe you could do like a pretty so you can make like mini games that are very centric to the Crash universe that makes sense for the environment. So if they take a page out of that really well, then I think it could work very much so, very well. Now, this is going to be a stretch in the dark, but I think Wumpa League is gonna be released in the summer of June of next year. If I had to guess which date, maybe June 15th? It's between the 15th to the 25th. I just don't know which days. But I think it's going to be somewhere in between those days, as far as when that game will come out. Or maybe they'll just say fuck it and just release it in July. Who knows? And I'm pretty sure it's going to come out first for like the consoles, and then a year afterwards would be PC. I honestly hope that they release it on PC as well on day one, because that actually would be pretty awesome, because I actually I myself have like a really damn good PC, but I haven't really used my PS4 in a while, and I don't have a PS5, so that would be nice if it came out on PC day one. But if not, then I could just set up watching gameplay. Doesn't really matter. Or I could just run the PS4 out of retirement, and then I could just play on there and just watch my fucking PS4 act like a total jet engine. But hey, whatever. But yeah, I really don't think there's very much to say. Oh, and I guess whatchamacallit, the Crash Bandicoot TikTok, and this was like not too long ago, the TikTok for Crash Bandicoot posted like a video, and it's like a silhouette of the Crash costume, and it looks like that they're in like this recording area with a green screen and etc. So we don't know what will be. We don't know if it's going to be in relation to a future video content for Wumpa League's reveal, or just something for Halloween. Who knows? But what we do see in the video that's worth noting is that if you kind of see it, there's a PS5 just sitting there. So we don't know what that's all about. Like, why would a PS5 just be randomly sitting there in like that moment? Like, is he gonna hold up a fucking PS5 in the middle of all this shit? Who the fuck knows? Do I think that sort of thing will happen? As far as it being a Wumpa League video, maybe. I have no idea. We'll see when it gets there. But if I had to guess, just based off the fact that, you know, the way that they kind of said something is brewing or whatever, or something brewing, sounds like it will just be a video for Halloween, which makes sense because, you know, Halloween's coming up in 11 days. But that still doesn't explain the fact that there's a fucking PS5 just sitting there. So I have no idea what that's all about. I have no idea what that's all about. I don't think it's an advertisement for the Steam release because they've already done a good job of that already on Twitter, Instagram, and etc. So I don't think it's for that. I think it's either A, just them recording content for, Halloween, or they're recording something that's gonna be in relation to the upcoming game reveal, but obviously we won't see the video until after the project itself gets revealed. So we shall see. We shall see. So there's really not much else to say because there hasn't really been much. But obviously, if there's like brand new information or some sort of secret shit that's worth talking about when it comes to Wumpa League, I will be talking about it either on a video or on my stream. If I stream either on that same day or a day after, that's still fresh in my mind. So we shall see. So, and yeah, I think there's really not much else to say because I've already talked for the most part a lot about what I expect out of Ash versus Leon and kind of like my thoughts on it overall. It's just kind of like where I see Ash at this point as a character and where they could put him or not put him. And then as far as Wumpa League, there's really not much to really go off of by, just off the fact that the whole Activision package range is kind of like pretty much just confirmed to everybody that Wumpa League is still alive to a good degree. And while yes, I know specifically it didn't mention Wumpa League, what else could they be talking about? Because you're not doing a Crash Bandicoot 5. This is definitely Wumpa League because it's been rumored for a while, and I'm pretty sure they know that too. So unless it's a brand new a different kind of Crash game, which hey, any Crash Bandicoot game revealed at the Game Awards, I'm all down for it. Just as long as it's not a fucking NFT. But besides that, I'm down for any kind of Crash Bandicoot game. I just so happen to think that based on the rumors and just based on how long this thing's really been around for a topic, I definitely think it's 110% Wumpa League. So, but who knows? Maybe it's not called Wumpa League. Maybe it'll be called something else. Maybe Wumpa Festival or Wumpa Party, like Crash Bandicoot's Wumpa Party or some shit like that. If the game turns out to be Crash Bandicoot's Wumpa Party, I wanted it to be stated on the record that I, R4D97, on October 20th, 2022, on 11:51 p.m. Pacific, leaked the fucking game title. But I really don't think it's going to be called Wumpa Party or whatever. If that actually happens, I demand royalty money from Activision. So, so we shall see. But yeah, it's probably just still going to be Wumpa League. Unless they add like another subtitle to it, like Crash Bandicoot Wumpa League Party Frenzy or some stupid shit like that. So, who knows? Who knows? So yeah, there's really not much to say. So again, thank you guys again for watching today's episode. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe if you enjoyed today's video, and if you like the Crash Bandicoot content, the Pokemon content, and more, be sure to also subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to follow my Twitter content account at R4D97, and if you also would like to follow my public personal account, it is at Richie_Farley1, and of course, if you would love to see me stream on Twitch, it will be R4D97. The next time I will be streaming as of the recording of this video will probably be this weekend because I didn't get to do that today on Thursday because I just, kind of got busy. I do intend on playing Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time because I do want to go back to that walkthrough, give it a fresh start, and really complete the 106, even though it's going to be a massive pain in the ass, but, someone's going to have to do it. So League of Legends might be on pause for a while. Who knows? Or maybe I'll sprinkle both. Because I did mention I probably would do that. So yeah, really not much else to say about the two topics. If I do happen to have more thoughts about it, maybe I'll make like a separate video for both of those topics, or maybe just make like a follow-up episode to this one, even though technically it would be a follow-up anyways, because it's episode fucking 10. But regardless, if I want to say more on that factor, maybe I'll make like a tweet thread about it or video. Who knows? But with that being said, I'm out of here. It's kind of getting a little bit hot for being 63 degrees, so I'm gonna go cool off and do all that shit. Oh, real quick, I will be watching the battle, so I'm not gonna have like immediate thoughts on my content account maybe I'll post some there, or maybe I'll talk about it on a early live stream or whatever. Who knows? I don't know if I'll do like a review for the part in itself, or just wait for all the parts to come out and then give it like a trilogy review or something. But either way, you'll find out on either of my Twitter accounts, of my thoughts about it. So you'll see that. So, with that being said, it's your boy R3097. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Depending on the time zone that you're in, make sure you stay hydrated, all that good stuff. And as my friend TSS always says, wash your fucking hands and have yourself a great day.